Hey, it's Kat Mykals, and I'm here from Loudwire with Dustin Bates from Starset. Hey, Dustin.
How's it going?
I'm doing great. I love the jacket, first of all. That's fabulous. Really excited to be sitting down with you. I love that you guys have built like this whole backstory on the Starset Society, and like you have like a master's degree, and you've taught at a university. It's so cool to me, and your fascination with like astronomy and that kind of thing. So tell me about the Starset Society, like what that is exactly.
The Starset Society is a group that is looking at science and technology and how it's affecting our lives now and in the near future in ways positive and negative, philosophically, politically, economically, socially, and just basically trying to raise awareness of those changes in society and doing it through scientific awareness, but also using sci-fi narratives to sort of look at technology in a hyperbolic way, and as to how it could affect the near future, and hopefully in the process showing us which direction we are heading or could be heading
as a society and as a whole. That's very, very cool. Now I know you build that whole backstory and that narrative. What is kind of like, what was the center point of that? Like, where did that come from? You know, like when the star combusts and that kind of thing. Like, what was that moment for you?
For me, it was, I was doing research for a PhD, and before that for a master's, and I saw and worked on various technologies, and initially working on them for good. Persistent surveillance for war zones to find out if an IED exploded, where it came from. You could track it back in time, but that same technology could be used to surveil an entire city and have this sort of Minority Report effect on criminals or thought criminals in the future. And autonomous vehicles could reduce the traffic deaths by orders of magnitudes. But at the same time, they could, you'll be losing taxis, and you'll be losing semi-truck drivers and insurance companies. So there's a double-edged sword to technology, and I think it's technology as a whole, on average, is actually quite good. It's enabled us to come out of just being farmers, waking up to survive and working to survive all day before going back to bed. Life was a lot harder 100 years ago. Now we live better than an emperor did 100 years ago. And so on the whole, it's good, but we have to be aware of the negative side effects, or we'll find ourselves manipulated by people who want to gain from that manipulation. As jobs are being replaced by automation, politicians might be creating boogeymen to be pointing at immigrants or pointing the wrong way at where the change is actually coming from, and we just want to do our part to raise awareness to help avoid those ramifications. So
do you think then that the technology that we have at our fingertips that's intended to help make us smarter, do you think it's actually making us dumber then?
Oh yeah, in the terms of cell phone, I mean it's I guess a bell curve, it's a spread. I use my phone every day to Google something I don't know. So sure. In terms of that, it's making me more informed. But it is also there, in terms of that, the cell phone communication, it's drawing these weird separations between people, even though it should be doing the opposite. We sort of project our own odd narrative, our perfect narrative into social media, and it affects our interpersonal relationships, I think. In my case, it's a little I've always been bad at people anyway, so it's a little different, but
No, I completely feel you. Like I said, I'm used to being in a room by myself with a microphone, and if I were doing this under normal circumstances, we'd be having a conversation over the phone. So you wouldn't see me, and I would feel more comfortable, because then if I make a weird face, I don't have to worry about what you're thinking about the weird face that I made. And so I get that. Like, I'm not real good at peopling either, but you learn to adapt, right?
Yeah, you're not making weird faces, so that's good.
Now, you are actually going to be performing at the 2017 Loudwire Music Awards, October 24th in LA, and you are nominated for Hard Rock Artist of the Year, Hard Rock Album of the Year and Hard Rock Song of the Year, which is phenomenal. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
What is there a difference when you perform for, say, a music awards show as opposed to when you perform for a crowd, an audience of your fans?
Yeah, it's an entirely different approach. You know, you have to really set up and tear down a lot of the production very quickly, so it's scary in that regard. But it's also, it feels a little drier, so it feels more like a rehearsal than an actual performance. So you have to overcome that, but it's still fun to challenge yourself in that way.
And I don't mean this the wrong way. I really am a little baffled at the fact that you're a rock star, but you're so intellectual. Like, to me, those two, they're not mutually exclusive, but it seems like most of the time they are. And so to sit and talk to you is, with the master's degree and, you know, the teaching at the university and the knowledge of astronomy and all of those things, it's baffling. I do want to ask you, we have Friday the 13th coming up in a couple weeks. Do you have any superstitions or anything that you consider unlucky, in particular with like your knowledge of astronomy and things like that?
Definitely not astrology or astronomy. I definitely don't ascribe anything to the planets and the stars whatsoever. But the superstitions, not so much. But there is, it's not even a superstition. I will say, like, if I'm at the gym, and I'm doing reps of something, and this is more OCD than superstition, actually. So I don't even know why I'm saying it, but I usually avoid doing 13 reps of something. But it's, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Okay. See, I'm a fan of 13. I'm weird. I have like 3, 9, and 13. Those are my favorite numbers. I don't know why I have favorite numbers, but 3, 9, and 13.
Really?
So, and then Halloween's coming up too. So what is your favorite Halloween memory?
When I was, I think, in 5th grade, rather than, I was like at that age where, 5th or 6th grade, I think it was 5th, I thought I was too old to trick or treat, and so I set up this crazy maze in my front porch where out of corn stalks, and these people had to come in and go around the maze, and I was sitting there dressed as a scarecrow, but like the corn and everything was like covering my face. People legitimately thought I was a scarecrow, and there was a bowl of candy with a sign saying please take one, and then when they would try to take one I would jump at them, and I scared so many children, and it was fun.
That's fantastic. And so Dustin from Starset, we look forward to seeing you later and seeing you at the Loudwire Music Awards. Thank you so much for sitting down to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.